What's going on? Welcome in. Arzi Vasugian here with you guys on a Wednesday. The podcast is back. Appreciate you guys joining me live on a Wednesday night here. Hope you all had a great weekend, long holiday weekend. A belated thank you to all the men and women who have given the ultimate sacrifice for our great country. And also a big thank you to everyone who reached out, wished a happy birthday to me. My birthday and Memorial Day weekend are usually at least a week apart. This year, they had just happened to be on the same week. Had it last week, and it just rolled into the weekend, and it just ended up being one long weekend for me. And that was a lot of fun. A big thank you to everyone for the kind birthday wishes. That we got to put out of the way now because we've got a lot to get into here on this episode of the Chief Zone podcast. Back from our hiatus a little earlier than expected. I had intentions of doing a podcast tonight, but there has been some breaking news this evening regarding the Kansas City Royals. I'll get into that shortly. We are going to discuss the Chiefs and the Royals. Where are they going to go? I was complaining about a month or two ago. The story has kind of just been stale and we're not getting any new information. Well, over the last few weeks, this story has been turning on its wheels really by the day. It has been talked about a lot over the last couple of days, and there's a lot to get into here. So we will jump on that and also the news involving the Kansas City Royals tonight. So we'll definitely touch on all of that. Also, Chiefs OTAs underway. What am I looking for from the Chiefs in OTAs this summer before they break for their midsummer vacation and then return for training camp? What am I hoping to see from the Chiefs in OTAs? I'll touch on that later on in the podcast. Facebook.com/Farzin Vasugian. That is the Facebook page. At Farzin21 on Twitter. At Farzin Vasugian on Instagram. Streaming live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So a big thank you to everyone watching on all of those platforms live with me tonight. If you guys are watching, please comment below. Talk to me because we've got a lot of things to get into. Before we get into all of that, I want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is where I go to for all of my sports ticketing needs, whether it's Royals baseball, college sports, Chiefs football, and I'll tell you what, Royals baseball in full swing right now. Competitive season so far for the Royals. The Chiefs, their tickets are on sale. And if you guys want to save $20, new customers can put in my promo code Farzine. You'll save $20 off your first purchase from SeatGeek by using my promo code Farzine. Go to SeatGeek.com, pick your tickets, and at checkout, new customers can put in my promo code Farzine and save $20 off their first order from SeatGeek. All right. Let's get into it because we do have some big news involving the Kansas City Royals. But before we get into all of that, I guess we kind of have to catch up on what's happened since we've last done a podcast involving the Kansas City Royals and the Kansas City Chiefs and their whole stadium situation here. So as far as the vote goes with the Senate, they did not have a vote a couple of weeks ago. And the Senate decided to wrap things up a little sooner than expected. And as a result, there was no funding for the Chiefs and the Royals to help keep them in Missouri. Specifically KC Mo, maybe to help them with North KC, but I don't think those details were really revealed then. But they were trying to keep the funding or vote for funding to keep them in the state of Missouri. That vote didn't happen, and then that's kind of where politics spilled over to this whole sports situation here, where they had a disagreement on abortion and paid leave and all these other things that, you know, a lot of sports fans don't like to really read about too much of. So that's kind of how sports and politics have crossed paths here. Well, as expected, the governor of Missouri, Governor Mike Kehoe, He had a press conference earlier this week announcing that he is calling for a special session to bring back all of the legislators and discuss multiple issues. The one he tried to focus on the most, because it did happen recently, the tornadoes that took place in and around the St. Louis area, a relief package for those in need. And then also brought up the Chiefs and Royals situation. Also, the committee will meet on the abortion bill and the paid sick leave, those kinds of things. Those things will be discussed, but a lot of the eyes are going to be on the Chiefs and the Royals. And I think the eastern side of Missouri, the St. Louis area specifically, a lot of those constituents or senators rather, saying that, we have to explain this to our colleagues. We're not voting on a big package that's only going to benefit Western Missouri, specifically the Kansas City area. I find that kind of interesting when they put it that way. But what if the Cardinals are in need of some sort of funding? Now, I think Governor Mike Kehoe put together this Show Me State bill trying to combine the Cardinals into it with funding for them. He didn't really reveal a lot of the details behind that, but the focus is mainly on the Chiefs and the Royals. Like the Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals, at least not to my knowledge, are not in need of any kind of funding right now. So when you look at the situation that the state of Missouri is dealing with, they've got to get all these senators, and some of it is political. Some of it, there were a couple of politicians who were saying, hey, why is there such a focus on this when we're not focusing and putting money on education and whatnot? Those kinds of things were brought up. There's a lot to go over here. And Governor Mike Kehoe said that on June the 2nd, that is a Monday, and he did say it would happen in early June, and that's exactly what's going to happen. There will be a special session. Now, there are not a lot of people holding their breath on Missouri doing anything. June the 2nd is going to be Missouri's Hail Mary. Now, that's not to say a deal will be done on June the 2nd. It could happen later that day. All that's going to happen on June the 2nd is the state of Missouri will either vote to approve of a package to provide funding to renovate Arrowhead and keep the Royals in KCMO, give them a new stadium, or they will not vote on it, or they will reject it, essentially allowing the Chiefs and the Royals to be free agents. Not that, they were not talking to other states already, like the state of Kansas, and there are rumors about Nashville, Tennessee with the Royals and whatnot. But this whole deal now, I mean, the vote failed. Mayor Quinton Lucas has not been able to get anything going with the owners, John Sherman and Clark Hunt. And now it's in the hands of the state, and specifically in this special session where you're going to have to try to get the senators to unite and vote together on this one, because they didn't vote last time. No vote is essentially a rejection. It's almost like when you're asking out a lady, you say, hey, let's go out Friday night. She says, oh, let me think about it. Well, she didn't say yes. And if the last thing she says to you is, let me think about it, and decides to ghost you, that's a no, basically. So not having a vote on this, what did he call it? The Show Me Sports package, whatever he called it. That not having a vote is essentially a no. And that basically puts Missouri in a world of hurt. And I'm telling you right now, if you are one of those people that really wants the Chiefs and the Royals to stay in Missouri, because Governor Mike Kehoe has echoed what a lot of Chiefs and Royals fans on the Missouri side have said, oh, they're Missouri's teams. They belong in Missouri. Okay, well, if they can't get anything going in this special session, your last hope is that from the goodness of their hearts, that John Sherman and Clark Hunt will pay for their own stadiums. And I don't think they're willing to do that. I just don't think they're willing to do that. The state of Kansas is willing to cover 70% of the costs here for both teams. And if the Chiefs and Royals reject that, I mean, how many teams in the history of this world, not just this country, in the world, have rejected that kind of money? The only way you could reject that kind of money is if someone else is offering you more. And right now, look, you can't really bet on these things like on DraftKings or whatnot. But if you could, and if you're, part of the Missouri side that wants this team to stay badly, otherwise you're threatening, to release your fandom here. Are you betting on the Chiefs and Royals staying in Missouri, both of them staying in Missouri? Now, I will say this. Let's say one of them leaves. I can see a situation where the state of Kansas and the state of Missouri can easily afford one of the teams. Kansas gets the Chiefs and the Royals, Missouri gets the Royals, or vice versa. I can see that. That would be far more feasible for both states. But Kansas is 2 feet in on getting both of those teams. Missouri is struggling to even get a bill passed to get these teams to stay right now. I'll get to the breaking news that has been talked about this evening, but I want to go to Mayor Quentin Lucas for a moment here, because the mayor usually does these live streams every once in a while. He'll basically do a Q&A live stream on his Facebook page where he'll take questions, answer them. He got a lot of questions about the Chiefs and Royals, as expected, as well as many other things that people have questions about in the city. Listen to the mayor very carefully, because I'm going to play the audio clip. And again, this is courtesy of his Facebook page, Mayor Quentin Lucas' Facebook page. Because, and listen, say what you want about politicians. I certainly have my criticism about politicians. But if politicians are good about one thing, it's certainly their choice of words. And I'm sure the mayor, listen, the mayor, I mean, he's a bright individual. He knows what questions are coming. So I'm sure he's prepared to provide some kind of answers. Because when the vote failed 13 months ago, Mayor Quentin Lucas went on KCMO Talk Radio 12 months ago, give or take, and said, hey, you know what? The Chiefs are going to renovate Arrowhead and stay there, and the Royals are going to play downtown baseball. And he has been beating this drum of optimism that the Chiefs are going to stay at the Truman Sports Complex and the Royals are going to go downtown. He's been optimistic about that for the last 12 months until recently. On KCMO Talk Radio, the same show with Pete Mundo in the morning. Pete Mundo asked a great question, because the rumors of North Kansas City came up again. And Pete asked, would you be okay with focusing on renovating Arrowhead and the Royals moving on to North KC, which is a whole different county? And the mayor said, yeah. Yeah, you could tell from the inflection in his voice that's not what he would like, and I can understand that. And I don't think that'd be ideal, but he would be okay with keeping one of the teams. Now, the mayor did a live stream Monday night, the night of Memorial Day. Listen very carefully to what he had to say when asked about the Chiefs and the Royals.
I'm a supporter of downtown baseball. I think it makes sense. And we look at walkability, density, all those things are good. I certainly think that people can get around actually downtown a little bit better. So I love Truman Sports Complex. I love what it's about. And I expect and hope the Chiefs stay there forever. Right. But I think that with 81 nights a year, there are good opportunities for baseball downtown, that engagement, having people all about. But what Kansas City is going to do is put forward a good offer, but we're going to be responsible. We're going to be responsible to our taxpayers. We're going to make sure that we do something that is fiscally responsible. We're going to talk. We're going to fight for them. But, we're not beggars. Y'all want us resurfacing the roads. Y'all want us making sure that we're taking care of our infrastructure. You want us to make sure that people are safe, working with the aforementioned Board of Police Commissioners. That's the sort of thing that I think we need to do more of.
Wow. I mean, he just sang a whole different tune there. We're going to fight for him. But the most illuminating word in the English language, But we're not beggars. Oh boy. Listen, let me defend the mayor a little bit here, because I think there's a lot of blame to go around. I think both the teams deserve some blame. I think the mayor deserves some blame. Frank White, the state of Missouri. I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around. I will defend the mayor in this. He has said, because he goes on Pete's show every Thursday, and he has said, I look forward to the day where I can come on here and we do not talk about this. And I remember Pete introduced the segment with him, bringing up that quote, and he said, "Today is not that day," because I've got questions about that. In Mayor Quentin Lucas's defense, he has been answering the same questions over and over and over again, and he's been given a lot of the same answers. That was not a repeat of anything we just heard. What did you guys think when you heard that? Did that not sound like the voice of someone who feels somewhat defeated regarding this whole project? I mean, he did not exude any kind of optimism on the Chiefs and Royals staying in Canada, or at least one of them. The mayor knows something that we don't know. And listen, like I said earlier, I think there's a lot of expectation that this special session is not going to change anything. By some miracle, if it does, it's going to be a shocker to everyone. Because I've been listening to people for a long time and their commentary on this. Before I forget, the big news tonight that just came out, and this is not the first time we've had rumblings about the Chiefs possibly going to the state of Kansas. But here we are, Fox 4. This is Jonathan Lewin Ketz. He put out this tweet that the Royals have confirmed to Fox 4 News that an affiliate of theirs has purchased the mortgage on the Asperia campus in Overland Park through quote an arm's length sale process. I don't know what that means. Not going to pretend to know what that means, but that's a pretty big deal right now. And the Royals have confirmed this. And I do want to share the Royals statement on this because it is important here. And I'm going to try to get that up right now if I can get the right one. There it is. The Kansas City Royals continue to explore all options throughout our community to develop a new stadium for the team. We have not yet decided on a site, and any assertion to the contrary is inaccurate. As part of our ongoing efforts, we have negotiated with or made investments in multiple potential sites, both in Missouri and in Kansas. One of those investments was the acquisition by an affiliate of the Royals of the mortgage on the Asperia campus through an arm's length bidding process. As evidenced by stadium development plans across the country, these are complex, time-consuming processes that involve a variety of considerations. People have been asking, why hasn't Kansas struck a deal yet? This takes time, guys. This is not a matter of, oh, here's how much money you're paying. Deal or no deal, come on over. No, this is going to take a little bit of time, but they also have to do it in a timely manner because, they've got to make sure the stadium is built in time by the time the lease ends for the Chiefs and the Royals at the Truman Sports Complex. The statement continues. We are evaluating multiple options at the same time. In fact, in the weeks since we purchased the mortgage, we have continued to work through a strategic, diligent, and focused process in both states to ensure that we can reach the best decision. We remain committed to finding a generational home for the Kansas City Royals that our fans, our team, our partners, and associates, and our regional community can enjoy for decades to come. Patricia in the comments says Overland Park Royals. Get those shirts ready. All the confusion over the years. Oh, are the Chiefs and Royals in Kansas or Missouri? Well, People thought they were in Kansas for a long time. And I think some people are now realizing that they're in Missouri and they're getting ready to go to Kansas. I was about to say go back to Kansas, but I guess in some people's minds they're going back to Kansas. Boy, this is very different. This is a whole different deal. Chris is asking in the comments, how many cars can fit in the parking garages at Asperia? They could be looking at that. That's actually a really good question. They've got a lot of parking garages at the Asperia campus. So that can certainly be utilized as like, you know, you get a parking pass to park in the garage. And then I mean, here's what I will say about 119th and Null, where the Asperia campus is. In my opinion, that is the best location in terms of land availability that the Royals could potentially use. I know the mayor is big on Washington Square Park, which is kind of in between Crown Center and Union Station. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I've drove by that other side. I don't not the street where Union Station's on, the block east of it. I've drove past it, but I've never paid attention to that park. I was there recently when I was checking out the new Museum of Barbecue at Crown Center. And I'm telling you, man, that land is not big. That place is not going to fit a baseball stadium. I have no idea where in the hell you're going to get parking. Yes, there is a parking garage west of Union Station. That's not enough for a baseball stadium. I know there's more parking just north of that side, which is the southern part of the crossroads, but that's not going to look. Chris said he just looked it up, 14,000 parking spots. Dude, there are a lot of parking spots there. I believe it. You guys are free to roam around and look at that area if you live nearby. I was there a few weeks ago just kind of checking it out because I've never been inside that area. I've been across the street where they have Park Place and Town Center. Two great places right next to each other. Park Place is kind of a smaller version of Town Center, if you will. But boy, business will be booming in that area for sure. I've always liked Park Place. I think it's a very underrated part of Kansas City. A lot of people maybe don't even know about. But boy, business will be booming. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people here. For those of you watching in the chat right now, and I'll try to keep an eye on Instagram here. I want to know from you guys. Do you think Missouri, this is a simple yes or no question, can Missouri keep both the Chiefs and the Royals? Actually, screw the can they. Will they? Will Missouri keep both the Chiefs and the Royals? I don't think so. I've always predicted that the Chiefs would get move to Kansas over at where they have the Speedway, the Legends area. And oh, well, a lot of you guys saying no. And I thought the Royals would go to Washington Square Park until I saw Washington Square Park for myself. There's that little bridge between Union and Crown Center. I was about to say Town Center. Not a single person saying yes in the chat. I mean, listen, this chat does not represent all of Kansas City. I'm saying no, big no, hell no with an exclamation point. Nobody is giving Missouri a vote of confidence right now. Nobody. Look at this. No one's giving the state of Missouri. Is someone saying yes? I mean, listen, there's no right or wrong answer at this moment. I'm just asking for a prediction here, but Missouri dropped the ball on this. And to go back to my point about Washington Square Park, that land is not big enough. I don't know how. Yeah, sure, the stadium, if you can, have it in the right direction, sure, it's going to look beautiful and everything. I've said this before. My driveway would look beautiful if it had a Corvette, if it had a Lambo, all these other sports cars sitting there, all my dream cars, my driveway would look pretty. But then, my driveway would have way too many cars. I would have to move some cars out of the way if I need a specific car I need to take out. And financially speaking, I don't have those kinds of funds right now. I don't know how Mayor Quentin Lucas expects baseball to work at Washington Square Park. I just don't know. Jesse says, sorry, Farzy. I like that name, Farzy. Missouri willing to pay 50% and Kansas 70%. Why are you apologizing to me? Listen, I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't understand the people who are, oh, Team Missouri. If they go to Kansas, I'm burning my clothes, my Chiefs and Royals. I've had people tell me that their fandom for the Chiefs in the NFL will be gone if the Chiefs move. It's a 20-minute move, people. Listen, if we're talking Jayhawks versus Tigers, yeah, let's go. Let's have a verbal war here. I mean, let's keep it friendly, but let's go to war. But if we're talking about the Chiefs and Royals moving 20 minutes away, that makes no sense. I don't get people who have this amount of hatred towards. Here's something I've never understood about the United States of America is people who are hating on or shaming other states and cities in their own country. I mean, as someone that is an American citizen, not a born American citizen, but proud to be here, consider the United States my home. I don't understand people who hate on other states and cities I mean, are there parts of this country that are unsafe? Yes, of course. I mean, there are parts of Kansas City, the Kansas and Missouri side that are unsafe. But I don't hate on the area. I mean, come on. I've never understood the whole thing. It's just been weird to me. I mean, listen, I'm a Kansas City guy. When I say Kansas City, I'm talking the entire metro area. I love this area. I do. I cannot see myself living anywhere else. I grew up here. I've always thought the city had room to grow. And over the years, it has grown a lot. I think Kansas City has grown a lot over the years. And I think some of it's driven by sports, and that's okay. Sometimes a market needs that kind of push for growth. But this whole thing to me is like, I don't understand the hate back and forth. If you're really going to change your fandom because of a 20-minute move across the state line, I'm sorry, you were not an honest fan to begin with. You just weren't. I mean, come on. Like, what are we doing here? What exactly is it we're complaining about here? Scott is asking, will the Chiefs' new stadium have a retractable roof? We do not know the details to that. I would imagine you would have to have a retractable roof because if you have a dome, then you lose the flyover, which is a huge part of the Chiefs' experience. But listen, I guess when you're doing some things might need to go. I don't know. I hope not. I do think it is time to get an indoor stadium if you're the Chiefs. Remember when the Chiefs were considering a rolling roof at the Truman Sports Complex for the Chiefs and Royals, and the NFL promised that that Kansas City would get a Super Bowl if that rolling roof was approved. The rolling roof just looked stupid. I'm sorry, it looked stupid. And the Royals, or excuse me, the Chiefs, they put out this big press conference talking about how a Super Bowl could really financially help the city. Clark Hunt really wanted to host a Super Bowl at that time because I think it was Super Bowl 40 in Detroit, and Clark Hunt was talking about how much Detroit was benefiting from all of this. But Kansas City did not approve of it, and as a result, they didn't bring the Super Bowl to Kansas City. Now, I know what some people are going to say. Oh, well, East Rutherford, New Jersey got to host a Super Bowl, and that's a cold city in February. Yeah, that was a long time ago. They're not going back there again. I mean, there are certain decisions that they've made over time that they've certainly wished that they could do over again. They're not coming to Kansas City in February without a dome. They're just not. Yeah, Man U fan says, I would miss Arrowhead. Listen, I would too. We're all going to miss Arrowhead. But Arrowhead turns 54 this August. They've renovated that twice already. At some point, if you are serious about wanting to host major events, and yes, you'll get the FIFA World Cup, you don't need a dome for that. It's going to be in the sweltering heat of July. But you want Final Fours, you want Super Bowls, you want WrestleManias, and these other big concerts where the artists are only willing to go to indoor stadiums or in warm weather climates. You gotta adjust and be able to bring those types of events to your city. Lisa says, I don't really want either of them to move. When I was little, I went to Kaufman. Don't move either team. I understand the sentiment, but the Royals are 2 feet out of the Truman Sports Complex. They have been very clear that they want out of the Truman Sports Complex. The Chiefs, listen, a lot of people accuse Clark Hunt, and I don't agree with this, but a lot of people have accused Clark Hunt of putting together a bad campaign intentionally in hopes that the vote would fail and that they would be able to use that as a reason to want to leave. I don't think the Chiefs would do that, because not that $1 million means much to the organization and to the Hunt family. I don't want to spit on the value of $1 million here, but I don't think they would spend $1 million on the campaign just to try to lose. That makes no sense to me. I mean, first of all, the Chiefs, they were aggressive in trying to clarify some of the rumors and some of the false statements that have been made about the 3/8 of a cent sales tax, all those things. They tried to clarify a lot of things. In fact, they were promising help in the community with schools and housing if the vote were to pass. Essentially, that was kind of bribery in a way. But they were trying. I don't think they were trying to throw this like some people are accusing Clark Hunt of. I don't agree with that. But I'm just saying right now, this is a situation where Missouri has dropped the ball. The mayor is no longer beating this drum of Chiefs are renovating Arrowhead and the Royals are moving downtown. No, he is not giving that kind of confidence anymore. His tone has changed drastically on this. Missouri's Hail Mary right now is that special session. And I don't know what Governor Kehoe has planned. Boy, for his sake, and for those that really want the Chiefs and Royals to stay in Missouri, hopefully the governor has the best persuasive speech in the history of speeches. Because if he doesn't, that Senate is not going to unite. They're just not. And that is going to be possibly the final nail in the coffin on the state of Missouri trying to keep one, possibly both teams. Chris is saying Chiefs to Legend with a retractable roof and the Royals to OP. Now, I can't, I don't know about the retractable roof part. I'm sure that's been discussed, but the Chiefs to the Legends and the Royals to OP, if this was like a DraftKings bet, this would be like a plus 500 right now. Or I'm sorry, a minus 500 favorite right now. The state of Missouri, if there were odds on this, they'd be on the plus side. I mean, again, this would be a miracle if Missouri found a way to keep both teams. If they were to keep one at this rate, this would be, I think they would take it as a win at this point. Here's my thing. Here's my question about the Chiefs, because we've talked about the stadium. Why is Missouri so focused on renovating Arrowhead? It's a 54-year-old stadium, man. I mean, I've gone over this before. and I'll go. I'll check it real quickly here. But there are 30 NFL stadiums. Okay, 11 of them are indoors. 11. So more than a third of the 30 NFL stadiums are indoors. Now the Buffalo Bills are getting a new stadium. That is going to be an outdoor stadium. That's going to be open, no roof. The Nashville Stadium, that's going to have a fixed roof. The Chicago Bears, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Cleveland Browns, and the Washington Commanders have all proposed of a new stadium with a fixed roof. And if the Chiefs were to follow suit with this, by 2031, what is it? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. The Chiefs would be the 17th teams, or the not team, because there are a couple teams that share a stadium, but Kansas City would have the 17th stadium possibly to have an indoor stadium. More than half of the stadiums would be indoors by 2031. We're moving in that direction. And I know some people don't like it, but that's where we're going right now. Whether you like it or not, that is where we're going with all of this. And by the way, one last thing before, and I've said this before, stop blaming the people of Jackson County for that April 2nd vote last year. I think the people of Jackson County had every reason to vote no. Because the Chiefs did their, I'm sorry, but their renovation proposal was not enticing. It did not knock my socks off. I mean, I don't even know, like, what was I supposed to be excited about? A new video board? A VIP entrance? Like, I give a damn about VIP entrances. Barstool seating? No, I don't want that. I don't want them to remove seats at Arrowhead for that. Hell no. No. The activity zone that would have replaced Kaufman, that looks cool. But that was it. That was the only good thing. And that was $800 million. They wanted $500 million from Jackson County. That was not worth an $800 million deal. No. The Royals, what logistics did the Royals provide? Because they showed the renderings how it's going to be north of the crossroads and it's going to go over that highway on 35 where a couple of the highways merge briefly and then you can kind of go your own way, whether it's I-70, 35, whatever. Excuse me. And there would be a bridge that goes from Kaufman and it connects to the T-Mobile Center. Listen, I love the T-Mobile Center, and I'm sure this downtown Kaufman Stadium that probably will never happen would look beautiful, but why do I need Kaufman Stadium connected to the T-Mobile Center? The only reason anyone would need that is if they're an employee of both venues. I guess that could be an easy way to go from one venue to the other. But other than that, like who? By the way, a friend of mine brought something to my attention. If Kansas City did that, dude, there would be some drunk people that could fall off that bridge and possibly fall onto the highway or the park, whatever it is they're planning to build there. I'm kind of glad we're not exploring that alternate universe, because that could have led to a lot of lawsuits. I mean, you would have had to make sure, like, the walls would have had to have been as big as the Great Wall of China. Otherwise, you would have had people drunk, falling over, kids climbing on that thing. People already climb into the fountains when they're drunk. We've seen that before. What would stop someone from going over a bridge if the wall is not tall enough? That would have been a disaster. But the people of Jackson County had every reason to vote no, and they sure did. They sure did say no. We'll see what happens. All right, I do want to switch gears and talk some Chiefs football here. The Chiefs have OTAs underway. They started this yesterday. This is the final phase of their off-season team activities, if you will, which is a funny word, but that's what they call it. What am I looking for? from the Chiefs in this in the OTAs here. There are a few things. Number one, I want to know what the pass protection is like, because I think the Chiefs, their preferred offensive line from left to right is Josh Simmons, their first round draft pick, Kingsley Suamataia, their second round left tackle from last year, who's now converting to left guard, Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, all pro center and guard, and their right tackle, Jawan Taylor. That is their preferred left to right now. Jalen Moore, Wanye Morris would be, and Mike Caliendo, guys who have played some. Hunter Norzad and CJ Hansen, two guys who they drafted last year in day 3. Hunter Norzad, I think, is a very underrated player and someone that I think deserves an opportunity at left guard. But right now he's listed as a backup center. He was great in that Week 18 game against Denver. There were not a lot of great things about that game, but considering a lot of Chiefs backups played in that game, including Hunter Norzad, his pass blocking was really good. His snaps, not so much. Pass blocking was great. Is that someone who you could put at guard one day? I'd like to see Hunter Norzad get some opportunities and some looks at guard, not just in OTAs, but also in training camp and in preseason games. I know they like Mike Caliendo. They brought him back as he filled in at left guard when they shifted Tooney to left tackle. So we'll see what they do there. Another thing that a lot of people want to see, and Scott, I see your comment about Rashee Rice. I want to see what the wide receiver room is going to look like. Now, I don't think a lot of people have a lot of concerns for the Chiefs wide receiver room. I know a lot of Chiefs fans still have the 2023 season on their mind, where the Chiefs led the league in drops. Mind you, they still won the Super Bowl, but that's never an ideal way to go about winning a championship. So ball security, not being careless with the football is going to be very important. Having Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice healthy is certainly going to be very important. What kind of a sophomore jump can Xavier Worthy make from his rookie season? Because these three guys, I mean, they spent a lot of time training together in the offseason last year. And in training camp, there was a lot of noise about these three and how well they were looking together with Patrick Mahomes. They brought back Juju Smith-Schuster late in training camp. I think after, give or take, the last preseason game. I can't remember before or after. But they brought Juju Smith-Schuster back last year because of his familiarity with the team. They drafted Jalen Royal. Sky Moore is still on the team. Justin Ross, I guess the jury's still out on him. Tyquan Thornton's got some potential. Nico Remigio has some potential. The thing about it is, Rice has had plenty of time to recover from that injury. Smith-Schuster is going to have a full offseason with the Chiefs. Kareem Hunt's going to have a full offseason with the Chiefs. This is going to be a very interesting offseason for the Chiefs and their practices with OTAs, training camp. That's going to be very important. I'm curious to see what that wide receiver group looks like in OTAs. And again, you can't really put too much stock in OTAs. I know people get excited about the highlights that the teams put out there, but let's not get too excited. But I think you want the position group to just look good. In the meantime, on the defensive side of the football, I'm excited for the defensive line. This defensive line, I think, has some serious potential here. You got George Karlaftis and Chris Jones, who were among some of the best in the defensive line position group overall last year when it came to pressuring quarterbacks. But the Chiefs, their total sack numbers dropped by 18 sacks, I believe, last year. And I think they finished 18th in sacks. They went from second in 2023 to 18th. They added Omar Norman-Lott, who had the best pass rush win rate among defensive tackles last year in college football. Ashton Gelati. This guy had the 6th most pressures by an edge rusher in college football last year. They're joining a defensive line with Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Mike Pennell, Charles Omenihu, Mike Dana, good contributors. FAU's still a part of this unit, but I think drafting a guy like Gelati, bringing back Omenihu, I mean, that's got to send a message like, dude, you got to step it up. He's had flashes, but you don't ever draft someone at 31 for flashes. You want more consistency there. So we'll see what that defensive line is going to look like. They also signed Jerry Tillery, I know they also got Janarius Robinson from the Raiders. Not all of these guys I'm mentioning will make the team. I mean, a couple of these guys might get cut. I would not be surprised if training camp was a make or break for FAU. I mean, this is going to be a very important training camp for him. Secondary is going to be really interesting too, because they brought back Najee Johnson. They still have Trent McDuffie, and they gave him the 50-year option. They drafted Noel Williams. They signed Christian Fulton. And then from the draft class a couple of years ago with Trent McDuffie, I mentioned Najee Johnson, who they re-signed. They drafted Josh Williams in that draft class as well as Jalen Watson, who missed some time last year with that injury. I'm curious to see what the cornerback room is going to look like. You also have Shamari Connor that plays some safety and also plays some nickel cornerback. Christian Roland Wallace is a guy they really liked last year. There could be some guys, some really good players at that quarterback position they might let go or maybe even trade for a day 3 draft pick. They brought back Mike Edwards. I think that's a good move for Kansas City. I like what Mike Edwards did in 2023. I mean, that Chiefs secondary in 23, pretty damn good. They were, you know, what was the most impressive performance by the Chiefs in 23 with their defense? Not the Super Bowl, not the AFC Championship game where they held the Ravens to 10 points. That divisional round game where they went on the road for the first time in the Patrick Mahomes era. They went on the road and they played the Buffalo Bills. You want to know what was so impressive about that game? But the Buffalo Bills, this explosive team, Josh Allen can do so many cool things. They did not allow a big play. And for those, a little refresher here, a big play means the play goes for 20 yards or more. Buffalo's biggest play of that game was 18 yards. There were no big plays in that game for Buffalo. Kansas City, on the other hand, had 6 plays that went for negative yardage. 4 of them were QB kneels. 1 before halftime and 3 before the end of regulation, where they got a first down after the miss from the Bills kicker, Tyler Bass. So I think if you're Kansas City, I think this has been a good offseason for Kansas City. Yeah, they traded away an All-Pro. Guess what? They did that in 22. They traded away someone who should have been an All-Pro last year in L'Jarius Sneed. And they've been just fine. I have some optimism with Kingsley Suamataia. When you look at his size, 6'5", 326 pounds, that's pretty similar in size to some of the other offensive guards the Chiefs have had over the years. And we've gone over this before, so I'm not going to go into detail with that again. But I think, physically speaking, Kingsley possibly is going to be better suited at left guard than left tackle. That remains to be seen. I do think it's going to be a very important training camp and OTA for Kingsley Suamataia. If there's one player I'm keeping my eye on the most in OTAs and training camp, it is indeed Kingsley Suamataia. That is the one player I am going to focus on the most. After that would be Rashee Rice. And then behind him, I would say, you know, the rookies. And they've got a lot of interesting rookies here. Josh Simmons, a guy who could have been taken earlier if it wasn't for the injuries and maybe some character concerns. Jalen Royals, the wide receiver, Brashard Smith, the running back. 2 guys who have impressive speed. Smith had the 3rd fastest 40 time among running backs in the scouting combine. Jalen Royals runs a 4.2 40. And then on the defensive side, Noel Williams, I already mentioned Ashton Gelati and Omar Norman Lott, so I'm not going to spend time on them. But Noel Williams, a guy who led all college football defenders and interceptions last year. Jeffrey Bossa, who won defensive MVP at, I think it was the Fiesta Bowl. Not the most recent one, but the one before. So, you know, there are some really good players that the Chiefs got in this draft here. How are they going to come together? So I would say Kingsley, Rice, and then shortly after that would be the rookies that the Chiefs got. And there are going to be some interesting ones to keep an eye on for sure. All right. That'll do it for this episode of the Chief Zone podcast. My name is Farzin Vasugian. Thank you all for the chatter on the Facebook page, also on Instagram, YouTube. For those who watch live, I appreciate all of you guys. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the podcast, share the links, let a friend know about the podcast, share them on Facebook, YouTube. It definitely helps out a lot. And like I said, if you haven't done so already, check out the other social media platforms that you might not be a part of. Helping push out the algorithm everywhere definitely helps. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all of those places helps out a lot. So I appreciate all of you guys that have been doing that. Otherwise, if you guys missed any part of this live show, it'll be archived very shortly and you can check it out real soon. Otherwise, my name is Farzin Vasugian. We've got some great things planned for the podcast. Cannot say quite yet. I teased it last podcast. Got some special guests. And when I say special, I mean some big special guests coming very, very soon to the podcast. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you're following me. That way you can catch them and not miss out on any of it. I'm Farzin Vasugian. I'll talk to you all later. Peace out.